What is a lesson you only had to learn once? What's the story behind it? Not to be stupid with water guns. I was on holiday with my family and I was about 13 and my dad had bought 2 water guns that worked by you pulling it back as it suctioned the water up. I, being a dumb idiot, decided to suction my lip and it pinged back and cut my lip open. Had to go to hospital abroad and get stitches. The early version of the Kylie Lip Challenge. You innovator, you. Don't pick up bricks in the warm summer afternoon in the desert. There be roaches. Sort of goes with this, don't approach a big stack of bricks in the summer if they haven't been moved for a long time. There's a big possibility wasps/hornets will have moved in, removed. As a toddler I wouldn't stop trying to lick electric plugs. My mom was so exhausted of preventing me from touching the plugs she just stopped doing it. I managed to lick a plug. Never ever tried it again. When I was around 10 years old I licked a cable once to see what would happen, worst idea ever. My tongue felt numb and I also felt some sort of burning sensation at the same time for at least 30 minutes. Don't touch your wang after cutting chilies, even if you think you washed your hands thoroughly. Story is that I touched my wang after cutting chilies, but I thought I had washed my hands thoroughly. If you learn this lesson for yourself, know that soap doesn't help, olive doesn't help. Crying doesn't help. The only relief I found was lime juice. I think the acid must cut the capsaicin so you can actually rinse it off. Crying doesn't help, haha, sorry, but that's hilarious. Same goes for removing contacts. BTW. Friend ate hot salsa made from world's hottest pepper and touched his eye afterwards, also after washing hands. Had to go to hospital. Said it hurt for days. Life is kinda weird. You can do everything absolutely right and still end up unhappy. Still trying to figure this one out. No matter how much you hate loneliness, it's better to be alone than to be in a bad relationship. I feel this deep in my soul. A good lawyer knows the law, a great lawyer knows the judge. Or as Harvey Specter would say, don't play the odds, play the man. Pulls out manila folder with one whole sheet of paper in it that apparently solves everything. Never get in a fight with an inanimate object. It will not get hurt but you will. I've known too many people that kicked/punched something and broken themselves. Walls don't complain. Yup. Went to school with a guy who got mad and kicked a fish tank. That resulted in a severed Achilles' tendon and a long time on crutches. Saw some pictures of smokers' lungs in a textbook at school. Decided not to smoke for the rest of my life that day. I saw what happened to my grandparents as a result of smoking, would leave a dream of it now. Both of my parents were smokers their entire lives basically. Dad was a 2-pack a day kind of guy for years and years. He is currently battling stage 4 lung cancer, and it's just a matter of time before it takes him. My mom was just diagnosed with stage 1 lung cancer a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully surgery will save her. They are both in their early 60s. Don't smoke, kids. See ya, cover your ass, at work. Being the new person sucks at an office, and insisting on proper treatment can feel like a mistake but it's so worthwhile. Started working at an office with very little in written expectations, processes, or training. Red flags were everywhere, but I was a newbie in the field and really needed a job, so I missed some red flags and ignored others. One thing that I absolutely got right, by accident, was a hardcore SEA program. I wrote down everything during training, thinking I would train the next person better. I wrote down everything I was asked to do, trying to keep organized and not miss any assignment or task. I kept a copy of all of this on my Google Calendar/Google Docs. After I left, I found out my boss was blaming me for a number of misses that were demonstrably not my fault. I ended up having to sue, and thank God I had a record to back me up. Funny how quickly asking someone "can I get that in writing?" can change their whole attitude. 100%. I'm a truck driver and the managers in the dispatch office always call and try to get me to do something illegal like take a load that's overweight or drive over my hours, and every time the conversation goes like this: "Office, need you to do this, insert illegal request here, job for us." Me, can't do that. Sorry. It's my license on the line and I'm not willing to risk it. Office, no, you're fine to do it. I've asked and you're within the law. Me, okay, I'll do it as long as you email the request to me telling me I have to do it and the office takes responsibility. Office, don't worry about it. We'll sort it somehow. They back down every single time. They always pull this shit trying to push the boundaries of the law, so we have to be clued up. If we get caught, they'll deny responsibility and say we know the law and shouldn't have taken on the job. Always cover your ass. Everyone is willing to take advantage of you. As a student in college a while back, I worked as a contractor for a startup and I didn't have a written contract. I worked my ass off for 3 months while they kept delaying my pay. At the end, the owner refused to pay me and stated I could go fuck myself. Tried to get a lawyer, but they said since I didn't have a contract it would be extremely difficult. Just had to file a labor complaint. The lesson here is always getting something on paper. AskReddit. Quick tip: never fall for the sunken cost fallacy, whether that is a job not paying you or a relationship dying out. What a duck. Hope their business failed. It did. But I am still very bitter. Not to cheat in relationships. I mean, I already knew to do it at a young age, but seeing how it utterly destroyed my mom really drove it into my brain. Yeah, my dad has cheated on my mom a few times. The worst was when I was 16. Seeing what she went through did a lot to me, but definitely confirmed that cheaters are awful. When you're having a problem with a coworker, whoever presents their story to management first almost always comes out on top. Which is such bullshit. Whoever shouts first is often the guilty one, but that's never how it's treated. When I first started a job where I had real responsibility, I learned the importance of having written evidence. I was leading a project and needed approval for a $50,000 purchase, still above my pay grade at this time. The timing was tight and needed to give the okay within a few hours. I got a verbal, of course, that is okay, hurry and finish it, from my boss. Well, it turns out my boss's boss did not like it. So my boss denied the fact, he gave me the go-ahead. My company proceeded to drag their feet to pay the $50,000 bill and I got cursed by the contracting company and my boss's boss because my boss threw me under the bus. I have since learned to get written approval for everything, even if it sets the project behind. I also learned most people in the professional world will do whatever they need to do to shift the blame. Okay, so you learned a lesson. The company who sold you the $50K is also partially responsible. They should have known better than just get a verbal and nothing in writing, especially a verbal from someone junior, no offense to you. I have learned similar lessons too in my business life, from both sides of the equation. The URL for the sporting goods store Dick's is dickssportinggoods.com. I think they now have dicks.com too, but they didn't used to. My home phone number used to be 1 digit off from the local Dick's Sporting Goods number. I would occasionally get phone calls where the call just started Dick's, or is this Dick's? I would often answer with something along the lines of, yep, you've reached the biggest Dick's in the tri-state area. Or you've got it, biggest Dick's you've ever seen. I used to work at a smaller Dick's, and boy did I love mentioning that. Even better was telling everyone to try the bigger Dick's in the next town over, whenever we didn't have what they were looking for. Hey, give me your item, I'll upgrade it for free. Trimming armor. Don't touch the top of the stove when it's switched on. I did this when I was about 4, except it had just been turned off. I didn't realize it would still be very hot, so I put my hand on it and got a very bad burn. My daughter did this, despite 3 adults explicitly telling her not to and that she'd burn herself. I will not. Narrator, she did. How roasting yourself in a heavy argument makes the other person very confused, and mostly the only thing they can think of is, yes, that. Very helpful. Self-deprecating humor is a great strategy in regular interactions and social situation to become more relatable and charismatic too. Don't overdo it, but if you show you can play a little about yourself, it can exude self-confidence. Some forget that humor part and just sound depressing. Measure twice. Cut once. was something very simple my stepdad taught me when we were building a bird box when I was about 10, but it's stuck with me ever since, and you can apply it to almost everything. Not to get involved in office politics and to never trust HR. I thought I was good friends with the HR woman. She would come in my office and tell me all about her personal life. Even cried to me a few times. She would say things like, if it weren't for you I wouldn't be able to come in every day. We were friends on social media. So in turn, I felt comfortable to talk about my own problems, especially with my boss. She talked about hers constantly, so I didn't feel like it would come back to bite me. Well, as you're expecting, it did. I got pulled into my boss's office with her right there taking notes as he talked to me for 2 hours about my performance and then said, I know she's a very nice person, but everything you tell her comes right back to me. So if there's anything you'd like to say you can say it now that we're both in here. And just so you know, we're not trapping you. I literally just sat there and took it and just okayed everything and did not say a word. She's avoided me like the plague since, and I deleted her on all social media. As you can imagine, I'm currently looking for a new position. Greater than as you can imagine, I'm currently looking for a new position. Good call. Get a bedroom door that locks. That memory is still painful. Even worse, my bedroom door is just a curtain. Drinking too much Southern Comfort will make you very, very, very sick. It was my first real experience with alcohol and it was decades ago, but just the smell of SoCo still makes my stomach turn. For me, it's any amount of tequila. I can handle my whiskey anytime, but even a single shot of tequila, with no other alcohol for the rest of the night, and I'm guaranteed to be severely hungover in the morning. The taste does nothing, it just tastes bad, but the moment it touches the back of my throat, I can feel my body rejecting it. I've never had more than 1 tequila drink in a single night, so it's not like I chugged it or anything like that. My body just does not like tequila. How to ride a bike. My dad showed me how to ride a bike. My son used a balance bike while he was too little to ride a bike. Then we gave him a real bike and that dude knew how to ride it on instinct. I never got to teach him how and now I feel robbed. Are those the ones with no pedals? I have always wondered about those and am impressed they actually work. I feel as a kid, training wheels did not help me out. I was about 11 years old and I wanted a warm hard-boiled egg. I took the egg out of the refrigerator, peeled it, put the egg in the microwave for about 10 seconds. Took the egg out and bit into it. It exploded when I took the first bite. I had a huge blister on my lip for a few days. Not so bright. Last month I heated an egg in the microwave for a few minutes, trying to hard-boil it. If my head was 12 inches to the right when the microwave exploded open and shot glass everywhere, I would be dead right now. Scary stuff. Edit. I hope I'm saving eggs and lives with this information. Till that microwaving eggs apparently causes a violent explosion. Never lend anything to your older brother's friends. Case in point, I let him borrow my Coolwood baseball bat. After waiting 3 months to get it back, I get it returned split in half. My older sister had a friend when I was a kid. They let her borrow my Sprayer, Ripto's Rage. Didn't get it back for months, and when we did, it came back without the case and so scratched up the system couldn't read it. I cried my eyes out and Dad had to go and buy a new one. I don't think she was allowed to borrow anything again after that. That's exactly what happened to me, with my best friend's little brothers. Eventually found it at a flea market. You know, in cartoons when the character steps on a rake and they get hit in the face. It's funny when Daffy Duck does it, not so funny when you're 6 years old and give it a try. That was an early do not try this at home realization. Mind your own business with couples problems. Later the idiots will have made up and then you're the asshole. Don't get things out of a toaster over with a paper towel. I nearly set my parents' kitchen on fire at 5 years old trying to make myself a Pop-Tart. I ran into my parents' bedroom early in the morning yelling fire, fire, fire. Edit. To clarify, by toaster oven I mean a convection toaster oven. Not a toaster toaster. I didn't like sticking my hands in the oven because it's hot and I didn't want to burn myself. Don't stick your head in the barbecue to check the spark plug is firing with the gas on. I was 8. I wish I could say that was the only lesson I needed to learn firsthand related to fire safety. Everyone, including your parents, deserve to have their motives, morality, and actions questioned. My father tried to raise me to the ideals he thought were important, especially that weed would ruin my life if I ever smoked it, but somehow forgot that it was wrong to molest my sister. That actually gave me quite a few lessons that I only needed to learn once. 1. Family can stop being family. 2. Trust can be broken in an instant. 3. The justice system is broken. 4. Even the most observant people can be blind to what's right in front of them. 5. Just because you were raised to believe something is true doesn't mean it is. Weed is not as bad as pedophilia. I'm sorry to hear that. How's your sister doing?